What is up, everybody? I hope you're having as an amazing day as we are, because we just saw Across the Spider-Verse. Holy macaroni, was it spectacular. You might even say it was the ultimate Spider-Man cinematic experience.
And before we start, I do just want to say this is going to be a lot of spoiler talk, just to get it out of the way. The movie's been out for a month, and we really just want to say our thoughts on it.
Yeah, so if you haven't seen the movie yet, pause the video, go see the movie, come back, play it, and then watch the rest of it.
Yes. So to begin with, I will say I think this movie was a lot better than the first one, or I at least enjoyed it a lot more than the first one. And I really liked the first one. Like, that is not to downgrade the first one at all. It's just this one did so much more with that concept of the Spider-Verse. And when the first one came out, I wasn't even too psyched about that concept at all, the Spider-Verse. Like, Sony, you have one character, so you're going to make an entire universe out of it. That's what I thought. But this movie really, it just made it fun and interesting and introduced all these new stakes and kind of, I don't know how deep we'll get into this, but it kind of started setting up some incursion-like events with the canon events that happen in Spider-Man's life.
Yeah, speaking of incursion events, when he was showing them, like he's like, this is what it is, and it was like those blue kind of
the branching pathways.
That's the same exact. They look like that in the MCU too, in Loki. Spoilers for Loki, but so I was like, that's interesting, and
it just feels like this movie. It's all everything that they set up in the first one. It's all starting to like make sense, come together, pay off, because they started bringing in all the live action Spider-Man actors, movies, just side characters,
all the live action ones, like all the shows, the video games, and even the voice actors from the shows and from the video game, like the Marvel Spider-Man game where he had the white spider. That was
so many. You're in Lowenthal or something?
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah, I don't know how to say his last name.
But they even brought in the Spectacular Spider-Man cartoon. They brought him in twice.
Yeah.
And that
Donald
was
Glover
great
too?
to see. Donald Glover in live action. That was awesome. It really just did the most with what it had, you know? And one thing that I really liked was it also fleshed out the characters that we had met in the first one, specifically Gwen, Gwen Stacy, Spider-Woman?
Spider-Gwen.
Spider-Gwen, that's the name?
Yeah.
Cool. I really liked her arc, her story throughout this, because she bookended the movie. She opened it and she closed it. And it was interesting parallels because, that is a kind of a theme throughout this movie. Each Spider-Man experiences similar tragedies, similar events, and that is kind of the crux of the problem that arises near the climax of the movie. But seeing her story play out and her resolution, and then watching Miles, his story play out and not get a resolution and like just get worse and worse and worse, it seems. It's really, it was a fun ride. And I'm really excited for part 2 to come out.
I like that in this movie, they go deeper into like how unique Miles Morales is as a character, as a Spider-Man. Because not only is he not Peter Parker, but they said the spider that bit him wasn't even from his universe. So it's like, that's just 2 layers of uniqueness, for lack of a better word. And it's like, wow, I like that.
Yeah. And actually going off of that, this movie addressed something that I always wondered about in the first one, but it seemed like no one that I had ever talked to questioned or brought up, because in the first one, Miles is just, in the subway, I think it was, and he just gets bit by a random spider. And the spider glitches, so it's inferred that it's not from his universe, but it never came back in that movie, like not once. And so seeing it finally be addressed in this one, it's like, okay, they had a plan. That wasn't a throwaway thing. Something was in the works. So that was just cool to see.
It was. And this isn't an issue that I have with it, but it does make me kind of think, brainstorm or whatever, since he was bitten by a spider from the alternate reality, part of me kind of feels like that should have allowed him to just be able to travel to alternate realities and be fine, like not really have that issue, or it should just like kill him because now he has DNA that technically doesn't really
should be rejecting his reality.
Yeah, but since he was in the reality where the spider came from at the end and we didn't see him glitch out, maybe it's just from like when he goes into that universe, Earth 42.
He was glitching out there.
Was he glitching out there?
Yeah, he was like, oh, I'm feeling sick.
Oh, I remember that. He was like, I have a cold.
Yeah.
So I feel like it should be like one or the other. I don't mind it though, but yeah.
It honestly wouldn't be surprising if you may have just foreshadowed like an ability he unlocks in part 3 where like he is able to travel, because it seemed like his powers keep not changing, but he keeps learning more about them.
Yeah, and they're also, again, just unique from every other Spider-Man. Like, he can turn
He's an anomaly, yeah.
He was the first anomaly. When Miguel O'Hara said that, I was like, interessante, interesting. And, you can turn invisible. He has the electric venom powers, which was cool. It does make me wonder, though, because the Spider-Punk character, he was like, you got to do it like this, man. So it's like, how does he know that? If none of the other Spider-Man have that power, then like it was interesting that he was able to coach him, and he was an anarchist. He's like, I'm out of here, deuces. I hope he comes back because he was a really fun character.
I hope he comes back too. I kind of just assume he will, because Gwen put together her own band at the end, and I just assume he's going to make an appearance in part 3.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't, as to why he, knew how to do that. I don't know. Maybe he's just, because he just seemed always in control of everything, like nothing ever fazed him. So maybe that's just how he is,
He's
the cool guy.
Like, he wasn't my favorite Spider-Man necessarily, but he was definitely, in my opinion, the coolest spider person in this movie, man. Like,
I think that was by design, honestly. Yeah.
And another thing that they did that they kind of improved upon in this one was just the art style, the animation. Every single spider person, every single universe had its own distinct feel, its own flavor. I thought that was really cool. You said earlier they had all the live action ones, so that was cool. I am a little bit confused on which spider universe is the main one, because when Into the Spider-Verse was first released, they were saying that older version of Peter Parker who has the baby in this one, they were saying he's the 616 one. But Kevin Feige was saying that the MCU Spider-Man is the 616 one. And, it's funny because originally it was labeled as Earth 199999, and in Across the Spider-Verse, they referred to it as Earth 199999, but within the MCU, they refer to themselves as the 616. So I think they need to clear that up.
Yeah, I was saying this earlier. If you're going to try and do a multiverse, which already the idea is pretty complex because it's just all these storylines, all these same characters, but everything is just a little bit different, you really need to be clear and say what world you're in, what character this is, what universe it's from. Like, if you start getting the numbers wrong and you make the meta of it confusing, like, well, shit,
I agree with that. And really quickly, the villain was really, really cool. So I liked how they did him narratively. It was interesting because when he introduced himself, he's like, you created me, and you probably don't even remember me, and you think I'm just like some random guy, and like blah, 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 it was interesting that he was just some random background guy, and the way he's designed is, just literal black and white. You can even see like the pencil lines in his design. And again, like he even references, he literally doesn't even have a face. So when he was saying like, I was this guy from this movie, one, I just couldn't picture him. And then, two, again, his design, he didn't have a face. He's just a blank slate. But I'm definitely excited to see what he does in part 3. I'm excited for all of it. The soundtrack was amazing. They brought back Mahershala Ali, which I thought was really cool. It was dope. It was dope. I liked it a lot.
It was an amazing follow-up. I think it improved upon everything the previous one did. And I really am looking forward to seeing where they take it in the third one. And if they one-up themselves again, I could see them potentially because it's called Beyond the Spider-Verse, I could see maybe like, hey, there's a big live action sequence in the third one where Miles Morales comes to, who knows, like a real live action universe, and that's like the climax of it. That could be really cool.
That would be insane.
Mm-hmm.
If Tom Holland, Andrew Garfield,
oh god, all four of them come like together. That would be insane. That would be so sick.
That's all I got to say about it, man. I loved it. It was amazing.
It was great. And I think that is it for today on this episode of HEADCANON. If you enjoyed this episode, go ahead and leave a like. You can find us on any podcast streaming platform and YouTube, of course. I have been Jacob Snyder, the man who will make your day brighter, Snyder.
Yes, indeed.
Along with my co-host,
Nick the Slick Johnson, the one and only.
We're signing out.